Happy Monday and happy Memorial Day. And every day, today and every day that is, we give thanks to all the men and women who have given their lives in service to our country. You will never be forgotten and your service will never go unnoticed. Thank you again. On our agenda today, La Liga is one step closer to being back on our screens. We jet over to Barcelona to get the latest from Jamie Easton on the next phase of training and how a group of Sevilla players have already broken protocol. Really, guys? And the Bundesliga gifted us another weekend of fabulous action. We discuss artificial crowd noises, Real Madrid's Achraf Hakimi, and who the top 3 left backs in the world are today. We're looking at you, Alphonso Davies, or are we? Plus, Messi could have been an Inter player under Jose Mourinho. We giggle at that possibility and pick our favorite comebacks ever, courtesy of Liverpool's historic UCL win 15 years ago today. Sports First starts now. We have a bit of breaking news. João Felix has picked up a sprained ligament in his left knee in training that is expected to keep him sidelined for 3 weeks, which would put him right at the potential La Liga restart weekend. More on that to come from Jamie Easton. And breaking news out of Italy, Zlatan Ibrahimovic has reportedly suffered an Achilles injury in training. He will receive a scan to assess that damage. The 38-year-old's future is very much in limbo, and news of an injury like this, some saying a potential career-ending injury, is certainly not the way he would have wanted to go out. Again, though, nothing is confirmed on Zlatan. We will keep you updated. Let's head straight to Barcelona to see how Jamie Easton is doing as Barcelona enters a new phase of reopening. Jamie, how is life changing for you, and how is life going to change for La Liga as Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has given the green light for La Liga to restart after June 8th?
Well, it's a happy day for nearly everybody in Barcelona and in Madrid too, Gabby, as they are allowed for the first time to reunite with their families in small groups of 10 people. Obviously, social distancing and masks are still very important, crucial, in fact. And they are allowed also to go to terraces and have a nice beer or café con leche. I cannot go out because my back hurts again because of my hernia. In fact, I want to show you something quickly. This is what my physiotherapist put me, and it's absolutely itchy. I didn't wear this. I haven't wear this ever, and it's itchy. I shower myself, it's still wet, so I just want this to disappear and go out and celebrate with some friends and family, whatever's going on. Regarding La Liga, regarding what's happening with the training sessions today, the teams are allowed to train with 14 players in each group, and that is 4 players more than last week. But we have not entered the decisive period, the 4th stage in Spain, where all the players of every single team are allowed to train together. That is expected to happen next week, June 1st. And there's a debate in Spain, just like there was in Germany, if 10 days of training everybody together is enough in order to start La Liga in perfect conditions. And you have to sum up that injury of João Felix, more debate around injuries as well of all the doctors, and the clubs will probably know the final decision next Thursday, or as we explained last week in that meeting between La Liga and the Spanish Players Association.
Right. Javier Tebas spoke. He made the media rounds on Sunday, and he did say that he is aiming now to have a June 11th restart, potentially with the Seville derby. Is that what you're hearing also?
Yeah, that's what Javier Tebas wants, and that is what Javier Tebas can get, because everything changed, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, when Pedro Sanchez, the Spanish president, announced that football can reintroduce in the country, professionally speaking, from 8 June. So Tebas is happy to hear that. He's still precautious, and he wants to talk to the Players Association on Thursday and see what are their demands, and especially after what has happened in Sevilla with those players and that barbecue, lovely Argentinian meat. I don't have a doubt about that. But obviously that affects what players have been demanding Tebas. They didn't want to concentrate in hotels or in their training facilities. Who knows if now they have to do that compulsory because of what the 5 Sevilla players did.
Right, and for those of you that maybe don't know or haven't been following this story, it is the cover of Marca today, a picture of 4 Sevilla players with their partners, a party of around 12 people, which does break protocol. There's only supposed to be groups of up to 10 people. It was posted by Ever Banega's partner, so there's that picture that you see there. And so they have come out and publicly apologized. But what I wanted to know, Jamie, is if La Liga is going to take any action, because you would think that if this were to happen in, say, the Bundesliga, who have taken their protocols very seriously, something would have been done. But it appears that La Liga isn't going to sanction or do anything to these players, right?
They're studying the case, and I just want to mention how dangerous social networks are. Once more, you have the proof there, because you can organize a barbecue if you just don't follow the rules. But if you post it, then it's something else. It's just well, it doesn't matter. Maybe they drank too many beers by then. But what's obvious is that in Spain, Javier Tebas, president of La Liga, said that that was completely irresponsible, and they will study some measures. Obviously, they are the measures that La Liga can give the Sevilla players, which could include even not letting them play in the Sevillian derby. That's not expected to happen. The measures that Sevilla as a club could put on the players, that's not expected to happen either, because we could hear Monchi saying that they have asked for forgiveness, and that's all. And they are the measures that from the Spanish government they could arrive, because there were 2 breaking rules here. The groups of 10 people, they were 12, and they weren't respecting the social distancing, as all the picture of every single one together without wearing masks. Sorry, and those fines could reach 10,000 euros. We'll see what happens and if there's any sanction, but at the moment they've asked for forgiveness, and it seems like nothing will happen. We'll see in that meeting on Thursday if, because of that, every single player in Spain has to finally concentrate in a hotel.
Right. Thursday is going to be the big day. Well, thank you as always, Jamie, for the information. We hope you make a speedy recovery so you can get outside and enjoy the sun and see your family and friends also. We'll be touching base again in the PM edition of our show. Bye for now. 2 rounds of La Liga action in the books, 7 to go. Let's welcome in Ray Hudson and Eric Krakauer to the party. Guys, I hope you guys are doing well and you both had a fabulous weekend. Our new norm has gotten even newer this weekend with artificial crowd noises tested in Leipzig's 5-0 thrashing of Mainz. The sound engineer chose between cheers and chants and boos according to what was happening in the match. The players on the pitch didn't hear the noises, so it doesn't influence the game or affect the game or the result whatsoever. But it's just for the viewers at home. I enjoyed the experience, and I wanted to know if you guys did also. Eric, we'll begin with you.
I thought it was a little bit strange, particularly because Mainz was playing at home, and every time Leipzig scored, you'd have an outburst of fan noise. So that doesn't seem like a home advantage for the viewers. But it wasn't horrible. It wasn't a horrible experience. It's just funny that just as I was getting used to the fact that we don't have fans in the stands, and I was enjoying the noise of the ball and the barking between players, that all of a sudden they throw another variable into the mix. But I will say this, it reminded me a little bit of those sitcoms that you get to watch on TV and the artificial laughter there, which I think very often dampens the occasion, but it wasn't so bad.
Ray, you're laughing, and you hated silent stadiums, so I want to know if you like the idea of artificial noise.
Well, I really appreciate the Bundesliga trying to placate me and people like me. But hey, listen, as we all know, it's bizarro world, man. Give it a try. Why the hell not? What's next? Are they going to have an organ player on the sidelines? How about that? Or a little orchestra playing some classical music to overcome. But I'm making light of it. But what the hell else can you do? Everybody's trying to do the best thing to make it normal, and it seems to be the more they try, the more they take it away, and the more false it becomes. I hated that silence. I hated the being able to hear every kick of the ball, the rustle of the net, because for me it amplified the silence as much as anything. But would I rather have that than the piped-in sound effects? I probably would. and I can put my own records and sound effects on in the living room. But it's, Gabby, there's really, I've said it all along during these shows, that every point is a counterpoint, and both are probably right. This is a good attempt by the production companies to make it a little bit more realistic. You liked it, Gabby. How can it be wrong?
I love that, Ray. I did. I enjoyed it. And there were moments where, you know, you kind of forget that they were playing in an empty stadium. It felt a little bit closer to normal than the empty stadium did for me. But, hey, it's all up to preference, and no one, just like you said, Ray, is wrong. I do want to shift gears. Keeping with the Bundesliga, Achraf Hakimi's agent has said, quote, "We will return to Madrid at the end of the season." Oh, you're saying no. Ray's already saying no. Please hold. Let me get the question out. And Madrid fans can be thrilled because he's been lighting it up for Borussia Dortmund, most recently scoring in their 2-0 win over Wolfsburg at the weekend. But I want to ask you both, and I don't know if, Ray, that no was to Hakimi returning back to Real Madrid. Should they hold on to the 20-year?
No, it wasn't.
Should they hold on to Hakimi?
Yeah, absolutely, they should hold on to him. The Rotten's a beautiful little player. He's just starting to fluff his footballing feathers in Germany, and he's playing tremendous. He's going to have great competition, Marcelo, Mendy, Carvajal, but he's versatile, playing both situations, on the left and the right. He's a Real Madrid player. They should keep him, whether or not give him another season to keep on developing. That's a big decision, because he's got some big players in front of him at Real Madrid, but Real Madrid cannot sell him for sure. He's too good, too big of a talent, and he's only going to get better.
I think you're spot on, and I think a lot of people would agree with you, Ray. Eric, what do you make of Achraf Hakimi's performances as of late, and do you think Real Madrid needs to pick him up and hold on to him?
Well, they've been incredibly impressive. In fact, if you look at the combination of Guerreiro on the left-hand side and Hakimi on the right, I think only Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold have tallied more assists for their respective teams, obviously Dortmund and Liverpool, and I think it's a no-brainer for Real Madrid to bring Hakimi back. But there is a caveat here that needs to be taken into consideration, and that is that Lucien Favre plays a very attack-minded system, one with 3 center backs, and Rafael Guerreiro and Hakimi are playing as wing backs. And what has been obvious may be too strong of word, but what it has been noticeable is that as good as Achraf Hakimi is moving forward, marauding down his right wing, he does show some defensive lapses, some defensive fragilities. And going to Real Madrid, Zinedine Zidane's Real Madrid, let's assume that Zidane remains with the club, Real Madrid this season has become a team that is dependent on its defensive solidity, and I think on that side of the ball, Carvajal will add a little bit more, but there is no question that Hakimi will offer you more options going forward, much in the same way as you've seen Zidane juggling Mendy with Marcelo on the left-hand side.
Well, I'm going to go there with the conversation because I do want to compare Hakimi to Dani Carvajal and ask you both, if you have both of these men on your roster, who do you start next season? Ray, we'll begin with you.
The way Hakimi is playing, he is really been impressive, and I believe on both sides of the ball, whether or not it's because he fits in so tactically well, but he's such a developing player that I mean, it takes something special to wear that Real Madrid shirt, and he didn't have many opportunities, but when he did, and we were covering the games, he looked pretty good. He's improved exponentially for me, so it's a toss-up. But I tell you, if he comes back, man, he could put a real serious flaming spear in the ground to make that place his.
Absolutely, Eric. It seemed that you would go with Carvajal and not necessarily go with Hakimi with Zidane's system. But do you want to expand on that and respond to Ray?
I mean, not necessarily. Look, Ray mentioned that he is only getting better, and you'd assume that defensively he's only going to get better. And it also is worth noting that one of the things that Lucien Favre has been knocked for this season, and in fact put his future with the club into question, is the defensive fragilities overall that Dortmund have displayed this season, with a lot of people believing that had they tightened up at the back, they would be in front of Bayern Munich right now, regardless of how well the powerhouse team from Bavaria is playing under Hansi Flick. So perhaps those defensive difficulties that Hakimi has displayed have something to do with the system that he's playing in, and under Zinedine Zidane's tutelage, he could improve that side of the game. I like a ball-playing right back. I'm not saying that Carvajal is not that sort of player, but between the two, I don't think there's much question that Hakimi is the guy who's going to light your hair on fire.
I want to hit the comment section here. Jorge Wolf Hurtado saying, I didn't like the fake crowd noises. I preferred the player and coach noises. If I want fake crowd noises, I'll play FIFA instead. Okay, fair point. John I saying, I don't know. I liked hearing the players talking and coaches giving instructions. So agreeing with you, Eric, in that you enjoyed the quiet. A lot of people saying that Real Madrid has so many players they can't keep them all, so they don't really understand bringing Achraf Hakimi back. But then again, other people saying that Dani Carvajal is more technical and more experienced, so they still prefer Carvajal over Hakimi. It'll be very interesting to see what Zinedine Zidane and Real Madrid do over the transfer window. Let's go to Bayern Munich. Bayern beat Eintracht Frankfurt 5-2. And keeping with the wingbacks and fullbacks conversation, Alphonso Davies once again taking center stage. Many fans saying the Canadian boy wonder at 19 years old is the best left back in the world. Now, I find that a bit premature, but I wanted to bring the conversation to both of you and get your take. Let's begin with the conversation with that question. Is he the best left back in the world for either of you? Ray, we'll begin with you.
No, he's some way short of the best left back in the world, but the talent is there so much that it would be idiotic to say that he'll never achieve that pantheon. He's an extremely talented player and very, very shrewd and very, very smart in the manner in which he defends and goes forward and integrates with his teammates. You know, he's right. He's in the perfect team as well. You know, with the tremendous goalkeeper behind him, wonderful central mid defensive with set up with Boateng and Alaba. I mean, this is a kid that could go to the very top, unquestionably. But I think right now he needs to be seasoned more, and only time will tell. But when you look at the likes of Jordi Alba and Andy Robertson and Juan Bernat and Furlan Mendy, just to name 3 or 4, in order for him to get up there, it's only going to take time. And but all the ingredients are right.
And we are going to get to who is in your top 3 left backs in the world in just a couple seconds. Eric, I want to send that question over to you. Alphonso Davies, who was purchased by Bayern as a winger and only made a left back because of an injury crisis earlier this season. What a story. Is he the best left back in the world for you at the moment?
No, he isn't. Sorry, I lost you for a second, so I'm hoping that question is directed at me. I don't think he is, but I think he's got every one of the attributes. Ray said ingredients. That's a great word as well. I do want to say this. I always find it a little bit funny how quick the footballing world, in terms of the audience and the journalists, are to try to anoint the next best insert position. And it's so ridiculous. It's ridiculous that we're looking at a 19-year-old kid who's a converted winger, and we're already saying he's the best left back in the world.
Gabby,
now, the fact that he's in that conversation... No, she did, but Gabby is bringing this up because this is a topic that...
She's always at the stir. I've said this before. And before you go on as well, Portugal, you're going to bring up the Benfica lad, Alex Grimaldo, right?
All right, let's take the conversation.
No, I'm not. I try not to give kudos to too many Spanish players because of that whole Iberian rivalry, especially if he's a Benfica player. But I want to say this: look, the fact that people the fact that people are really noticing how good he is just shows that the ceiling is very high, and I think that, very frankly, he will be there in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
He's technically gifted. He's incredibly fast, maybe the fastest player not called Kylian Mbappe in the top 5 leagues. He's very good on the offensive side of the ball. And the fact that he's kept Lucas Hernandez, who was signed from Atletico Madrid to be a sort of versatile left back slash center back, shows you just the
Eric,
impact that he's had.
You bring up a point there about his speed, and that's one of the first things everybody talks about with Alphonso Davies. Let me tell you, speed can be always, you kind of teach it, the old axiom goes, but for some types of footballers, it can inhibit them in a strange way. So he's with one of the best football clubs in the world, with the best coaches, but that speed, it can have an effect on a player in a negative way. It's always good to have it in reserve, but if he extends itself too much, he can get exposed by it. So and as you say, 19-year-old, he learned the alphabet correctly, especially under this coaching setup.
Great point, Ray. I want you guys to take us through your top 3 left backs in the world at the moment. Ray, we'll begin with you.
The top left backs, I would go with Jordi Alba first. And I think he is still, on both sides of the ball, incredible. The amount of assists that he gets, the link up with Messi, of course, is outstanding. And I would go with Andy Robertson as a very close second. I don't think he's in the category of invention the way Jordi Alba is. Or the quality of his pass, but he makes up with it in different other attributes. And how can I leave out my main man? Marcelo. I don't care what anybody says, a legend for Real Madrid, one of the greatest of all time, for Brazil as well. And people will say he gets overexposed in that position, not in his team. That's why he's got all those Champions League gold medals around his neck. Outstanding. But that would be my 1, 2, 3. Jordi Alba, Andy Robertson, and Marcelo.
All right, Eric, tell Ray why he's wrong.
He's going to go with Alex Telles from Porto, aren't you?
I would never do that. Well, Alex Telles almost made my list. I think he's top 10 for sure. But my top 3 are Andy Robertson, number 1. I think he's completely transformed, along with Trent Alexander-Arnold. They've completely transformed the attacking side of Liverpool's game. They're both very good defenders as well, but Andy Robertson a better defender. And I agree with Ray that he doesn't have quite the creativity of the other players on his list, but he's the kind of guy who's going to be consistent, and he's very good on both sides of the ball. The next guy is David Alaba, and a few years ago I would say that David Alaba is the best left back in the world. The problem is he's playing just as much of the center back role as he is at left back, and he's also a very good center mid, especially for his Austrian national team. But let's remember that under Pep Guardiola, he was absolutely fantastic, not only marauding up and down the left-hand side, but actually tucking in as an extra midfielder. And my number 3 is Alexandro, who I've maintained for a very long time is the most underrated left back in the world. And the only reason he hasn't been more of a presence with Brazil is because of Marcelo, even though he is a far better player if you consider the defensive side of the ball, because Marcelo is unbelievable. His skill is outrageous, but far too often he leaves a lot to be desired on the defensive side of things.
Defense.
I knew Ray had something to say about that. I wish we could debate this more, but we are running out of time because I want to get to the comeback story. On May 25th, 2005, Liverpool were down 3-0 at the half to AC Milan in the Champions League final. But Rafa Benitez's men produced one of the most stunning comebacks in soccer history, scoring 3 goals in 6 minutes in the second half and forcing an extra time that would see the Reds win in PKs. It was an unbelievable moment. And it's prompted me to ask you both what your favorite comeback story is ever, all time. Ray, you're up first.
Well, I've got 2, and you producers didn't. I didn't tell you this, but the first one is a horse race called the Grand National. I want anybody that's listening there to go on YouTube and look at the 1973 Grand National, when a horse called Red Rum came from nearly a mile back to beat this brave horse called Crisp, who was carrying 25 pounds more weight. And you have to see it. One of the greatest races in all of the world, the Grand National. In this heart, Crisp burst his heart as he come to the winning post. But you have to see how far back Red Rum came and just got him on the line. And poor Crisp was like a walking zombie in the end as he plodded up to the winning post. Unbelievable. You'll cry over this. It's an amazing thing. And the other one, of course, is Barcelona's comeback in 2016 against PSG. You've got to put that one in footballing terms right up there. Incredible drama, and PSG coulda, shoulda, woulda won it. Ter Stegen was the biggest overlooked hero in that game. He was monumental.
Great shout, Ray. How about for you, Eric? Quickly.
Well, I'm going to give the thumbs down on Ray's pick because that was a refereeing disaster that went against PSG. My pick is Liverpool's comeback against Barcelona last season in the Champions League. The 4-0 win after they were 3-0 down from that first leg. And worth remembering that they were without Bobby Firmino and Mohamed Salah, and they still created one of the greatest games, one of the greatest comebacks of all time.
Two great shouts, guys. You guys are both back on with me for Sports First PM. We're breaking down tomorrow's huge match, Dortmund-Bayern. You guys won't want to miss it. See you then.